in the kitchen, episode 19. Avi Shemtov at Ala Esh again.
Yeah, maybe. It's been a minute because we did our last episode when we first opened, and believe it or not, we're working on it. I think tomorrow's 1 month.
I know.
I think
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's
18th.
the start of our 4th week. Sorry.
Yeah.
So not quite a month yet, but yeah. Welcome to Heat in the Kitchen podcast. I'm Avi Shemtov. This is Corey O'Leary.
How's Ala Esh doing?
I'll just doing all right. You know what I mean? Like, listen, it's a pandemic, so kind of is what it is. We could use all the support we could get, but it's doing all right. Like, it's doing all right, and more importantly, people have been super supportive. The feedback's been great. I think like the first 3 days, I think I'm hard on myself, so I wouldn't say stumbled out the gate, but I would say like the first 3 days were definitely like stressed, long days going home, not feeling like we were doing chubby chickpea type services or Simca type services. But day 4, this team really started getting it, and I've been happy with the services ever since. So I'm not saying we've never faltered, but
Yeah,
I've been
every
happy
time
with
I'm here, it's pretty steady.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, the customers have been good to us, and it's been supportive. Like I said, like, in this business, I don't think it's ever perfect as far as, sometimes like you wish you were busier, and then sometimes you wish like it just all comes at once. But in general, yeah, like I really shouldn't. I got it a lot better than a lot of people in here, so I certainly got it better than I do at Simca. Simca's actually just open now on Friday nights for takeout and Saturdays for like a 10-seat chef's tasting thing. Just because like it's hard, man. Like it is not conducive to takeout. And while people were supportive of us for a long time there, it's a lot, man. It's a lot to ask people for 10 months.
Yeah.
To kind of like go
Get
out of their
takeout
way
every week.
Right. Exactly. No, that's exactly it. Is that, it's tough. This whole thing. So I wanted to bust your balls a little bit today for the fact, like, you know what next week is? Well, of course, you of all people know what it is. It's your birthday.
Christmas?
It's your birthday, right? So what's that? It's Christmas, right? And
It's not next week.
like
got
yeah,
plenty
like
of
it's
time.
2 weeks, like a week and a half. But 10 days actually, exactly from today. So what did I say when this all started? What did I say? I said we should have closed down then, like takeout only or whatever, all the way to Christmas.
Yeah, but you also
and then
said
figure
that
it
the
out
banks
then.
were gonna, waive mortgages and whatever.
So that's my point.
And the government was
no,
gonna.
I didn't say they were gonna. No, I did not. No, we have to do. The
Yeah, we
beautiful
do
thing
have
about
the
a
tape.
podcast,
Yeah,
we
I'll
got
pull
the
it up.
tape. So I never said they were gonna. What I said was we should have.
Yeah, in
like,
an
from
ideal
jump,
world,
in
sure.
an ideal situation, we should have been like, yo, listen, let's all hunker down. Let's just call it Christmas and see where we get. And if you saw, by the way, there are countries that did some semblance of that, and those countries are now like essentially able to really be open again.
No.
Dude, look into that, man.
No, I have
They
looked
are.
into it. Dude, there's nowhere where there's been lockdowns where there hasn't been second waves or anything
No,
like that.
definitely waves. But my point is that right at this moment they're in a better spot. So
No,
anyway, my point to
disagree.
you is just that I said Christmas. You thought I was crazy.
I still think you're crazy because if
We're
you
here.
look at everywhere, yeah, I know, but that's only because we do it halfway, go the other way. Open, don't open. If you just left everything open or closed everything, either way, the government would have to help you out. They can't just do what they've been doing, which is the worst thing, right? So look at it. Some places in
All right,
America.
let's just talk about sports today.
No,
'cause
but
I already
there's
have a
another-
headache talking to you.
All right, but listen,
I
if
get
you
such a
talk about the
No, because you say dumb things like
Different states.
you say real dumb things
Like what?
like okay, for example, you just said like if you said if you, meaning like the general populace,
Yeah.
closed everything, the government would be forced. Do you know it's the government that has to either close you or not? Like it's not like
no, but state
collectively the
governments.
people.
The federal government isn't there doing their job because they're not. They've spent $20,000 per. I think it's $20,000 per family since the pandemic started.
Sure.
And everybody got $1,200. Is that what it was? I don't even remember what it was.
I don't know. I know a lot of people got 1,200. I know as private businesses we're drowning like a mother and no one's helping us.
Yeah, exactly. That's,
Again,
that's
I mean,
my
no,
point.
they gave me 10 weeks. They gave me 10 weeks worth of my payroll to cover. That's what I love about PPP, right? They gave us. I mean,
cover your payroll, but then for years after, it's
no,
still
tell me
gonna
what
go
they
up.
did was they took their formula was like, all right, let's take 10 weeks of your payroll, and we'll take 10 weeks of your payroll we'll give you to cover rent, electricity, and payroll
Right.
for 10 months. So it's like, time out a second, like, how am I supposed to take 10 weeks worth of payroll and cover 10 weeks worth of one expense and use that to cover 3 expenses for 10 months? It just doesn't make any damn sense. And the thing that sucks is, like, my industry, dude, honestly, man, we're just catching it from all sides right now. And you're seeing like restaurants closed left and right. And, I said it on this podcast that like no places had closed strictly due to COVID. So now what you're seeing is there's a huge wave of businesses that are not going out because of COVID, but we are seeing successful businesses, quote unquote, hibernate, because the reality is that they're looking at it and they're just like, there's a limit to how much a business owner can just bleed in order to keep people fed. And so, I think what a lot of people don't understand is I don't care what, unless they're a pizza shop, I don't care what restaurant you love. I'm telling you right now, that place is not surviving. The owner is choosing to bleed out in order to keep the people around him fed.
Right.
And for me personally, like, I look at it and I'm like, man, if people knew the personal sacrifices that I'm making and my family's making to keep my staff paid in full. So, like, I read these things on the internet, and again, listen, I love my people. So, like, I never want to sound like I'm competing against them or I'm trying to say, no, they're not worthy of your love or whatever. No, it's not that. It's that. But this whole thing about, like, people are like, oh, we got to help restaurant workers. We got to help restaurant workers. I mean, listen, I can only speak for the workers around me. I'm bleeding, like, doing real bad.
Yeah, right.
They're a whole.
Yeah.
I'm not saying COVID hasn't affected them at all. Of course it's affected them, like they're not seeing their friends, like whatever. There's a lot of things that's affecting them, like everybody else. But it's not affecting them financially. It's just not. And so this idea...
But it's at your shop, but some restaurants, I would
Sure,
think.
but even there... Okay, so...
No, but like if you're a waiter, let's say, right?
No. So here's the thing. I thought about this the other day. Exactly, Mike, only bears hibernate. That's exactly it. It's not natural. It's not a natural process. So, like, that's what I'm saying, quotation. But the point is, Corey, but just real quick back to the thing. I thought about this the other day, and I'm like, okay, the only people that have it worse than owners, right, are servers and bartenders at high-end restaurants.
Yeah.
So people that are used to legitimately making a living, like a feed-your-family kind of living.
Right. Now you're making $100 a week.
And the truth is, and again, I know people are going to feel a way about this. That's fine. I'm not saying I do or don't feel a way about it. It's just a fact that let's accept for a second, okay? Is that most of those people don't pay taxes on their whole income. Yeah. And again, like, listen, you can feel how you want to feel about it.
Whatever.
It's kind of like how when rich people, like Donald Trump or whatever, right, doesn't pay, like, he takes all his tax deductions, right? But he doesn't hide income. He just takes all his tax deductions.
Right.
And I was saying the other day, my wife loves, Adrian's super liberal and hates Trump. And she loves Bruce Springsteen, loves him. So I, like, pulled up an article to show her, like, how Springsteen admits to, like, not paying taxes for decades, and still, if you look at his tax returns now, he does it legally now, but he's not paying. Like, dude, he's taking everything. And I said to Adrian, if we're ever successful, right, we're not going to go to the accountant and be like, yo, just what's the highest tax bracket we can be in? Oh, it's close to 50? Yeah, just take my income this year and write a check for half of it. No, we're going to be like, yo, what can you deduct?
Right.
And we'll be charitable, and we'll donate a lot of money.
Yeah.
But even Warren Buffett takes every deduction he can.
Right.
And he's like the most charitable. So the point is that it's the same way as like, all right, cool, you can get on servers and bartenders for the fact they're not paying taxes on all that cash. And I'm not saying that that's right.
No, but
what I'm saying is right now it's putting them in a spot where they have nothing, man. They have nothing.
Right.
And so they're worse off than owners because at least owners have assets to attach.
Let's just say everything goes shut down, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least then they could collect, right? But you keep it open, but you tell everybody not to leave their fucking house.
Right.
So they can't collect, and they're everybody's staying home anyway. So they're making no money. They're not making enough to feed their family.
No. What I'm saying about servers is, if servers. So first of all, I don't know. I don't want to go out on a tangent about class warfare, but servers are. A lot of them are laid off, but my point that I'm making is there's a lot of underbellies of the restaurant industry. So one is that
I know that's a good point though. It's not just the restaurant; it's the suppliers,
right? Well, so
the
that's
drivers.
exactly it. So that's exactly it. Is that there's a lot of people when you close down. So, in my opinion, the biggest mistake the state made, and I'm going to be on an island on this a little, and I'm not saying that restaurants shouldn't have ever opened indoors or anything like that, or outdoors. We opened outdoors. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm saying the state should have. Things were the best for restaurants when they were straight up takeout only. Because at least consumers were just driven to one thing and could focus their energies on supporting one thing.
Yeah.
Now you're spreading it across, right? So like restaurants that have a dining room and depend on that, they got to open, right? And now their takeout business, which was more profitable. So like to your point, when they were doing takeout only, like their front of house was laid off and just collecting.
Right.
Maybe, not making what they need per se, but making something. And their back of house was doing work and and whatever, and they were able to streamline things a little bit, and your supply chains were activated a little bit, and your linen people. But by the way, these are the things that like, it's tough, man, because like I don't believe in doing right and then begging to be given credit for it. But like, all right, so let me tell you like a real quick story about today, and this is live on Facebook, so a lot of these people will see it and they'll be like, yeah, that happened. So like, do you know my buddy Neil?
Yeah.
So like, all right, so Neil and some friends or whatever got food on Saturday night and from Alash, and he let me know.
He's
like,
been on the podcast.
Yeah, he has. So he passed me back some feedback. Just like we were out of our online system, and it's cool because like customers are starting to understand that like we're doing the whole like barbecue thing where like look, we smoke for overnight for day of. So whatever we got, that's what we got for the day. Okay. Yeah. Look, I don't have crazy like combi ovens and stuff where I'm like holding product and hydrating product and stuff. Like we're just kind of doing it, right? So people are starting to understand like it's not like Texas where like you line up at 7 and 8 in the morning and then it's just till it goes.
Yeah, right.
More like they use our online system to do that. So like you want not ribs, but you want brisket at 6:45 at night and we close at 7. People are putting that order in at noon.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I look up and I'm like, damn, I got 30 tickets on the board. Brisket sold out. Pork sold out.
Brisket's been sold out.
Yeah, so like I tell them like, yo, 86 that because the worst thing I can do is take your order and not fill it.
Right.
So Neil, let me know. Like, listen, I was with some friends, and like some of my friends were real unhappy that they tried to place an order at 5, and you didn't have any brisket or pulled pork. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's my bad, right? And I kind of explained to them, I'm like, it's not like we're out of it at 5.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of people put their orders in.
Right.
So like that's just kind of what it is. And then I explained that to him, and he was like, listen, he's like, the food that we got was terrific. The turkey was terrific. Cool, we're good. So today, someone comes to the restaurant, and they're like, yo, like, saw a review on TripAdvisor, blah, blah. So I went and looked at it, and it's like it's this dude that was with Neil. So like, I just don't think that's cool. Like to me personally, that would be like if you brought Kyle
He already
around.
told you. Yeah, he already
and
told
that would be
you.
like if you brought Kyle around and Kyle was like, yo, like honestly, like I don't like pickles on my burger, and your guy put pickles on my burger, and I was like, yo, that's my bad, bro, and like he was like, oh, don't worry about it, and then he went and wrote a Yelp review. Like that'd be weird to me, right? So I kind of posted something on Facebook upset about it. And, it turned into a thing. A lot of people supported the post. Some people felt like that was unprofessional.
Yeah.
Him and I ended up getting on private message. He reached out to me. It was a little heated at first for a second. And I think both of us expressed ourselves respectfully. And we agreed to sort of, even though we're coming at this from two separate angles, he happens to work for TripAdvisor as an executive. So,
right.
so like, he, and I guess from my viewpoint, it's like you're successful and you're doing well right now. And you should know what my industry is dealing with. But again, like that's my perspective. I don't begrudge him his perspective. So we kind of just chopped it up and we agreed to keep it moving. And he was like, listen, I'm going to try your restaurant again. I appreciate that. We ended up talking about some town, like school committee stuff and things, whatever. It was cool. I say all that to say this, like I'm a product right now. And I think a lot of restaurateurs, a lot of restaurant employees, a lot of people in general, right? Like it's not just us, like everyone's going through it to some degree in every industry. I think we're a product sometimes of like what we're carrying that people don't necessarily know. So like a lot of people don't know that like in my industry, like you probably, I mean, if I say it, you're gonna be like, oh, of course, but you don't think about it. If I said like write down every expense I have, like you're not gonna think of dumpsters right off rip. Yeah, I'm paying my dumpster companies. I'm paying the dumpsters at Jackson Street, and we don't use that facility. Haven't in 8 months. I paid the rent on it. I pay the electric bill. I pay the gas bill. I pay. I mean, there's no real gas, but the hot water heater's on, so like you'd be surprised. It's like $30 a month for nothing. I pay the dumpster. Why do I pay the dumpster? Because like I'm gonna need that facility long term, and like that company's been good to me in the past. Like when I opened Simca, this other dumpster company, like they straight up left me with no dumpster, and so I can't have a restaurant with no dumpster. I called EOMS on Brockton, and they were like, "We'll get it to you today." They brought me a dumpster like right then. Like I can't open at 4:00 and have no place to put my garbage, So to me, I look at it and I'm like, it's a couple $100 a month, and that sucks. But at the same time, like they're a business, and if I just turn and go, well, I don't need the garbage,
right?
And I just dead the relationship, and then I call them when I need them again. It just trickles downhill if no one at some point stops and goes, yo, I'm going to hold it right here.
Right.
So sometimes I'm extra frustrated because I've been that guy that's like stopped and just held it right there. Like a lot of people don't realize, like I have linen companies and I pay them money. So like, I had linen companies, like we just got our towels like an hour ago, and like I'm paying for this. And people don't realize like how much of the economy revolves around. So I read like 18% of the U.S. employment is restaurant and restaurant adjacent, meaning like the companies that do the towels and garbage and all that stuff. Everyone that depends on restaurants working. And
I mean, retail is the number one job in the country.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And it's like
And
everybody's
so,
ordering shit online.
exactly. And so to me, like, part of my frustration when somebody takes a shot. By the way, if you're wronged, like, so I actually thought it was really weird at the beginning of the pandemic, where like you'd screw someone's order up and they'd be like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Here's another $10." And you're like, "Dude, like that's not the business I'm in. Like, pay for services." You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
and if I'm wrong, I owe you. I gotta fix that for you.
Right.
And I'll always, at least for a long time, hopefully this will all be behind us at some point. I'll remember for a long time the first customer that had a complaint, because it was like it was actually an unfair complaint, but it was what it was. And when you're in my position, like sometimes you have to just accept an unfair complaint and fix it.
Customer's always right.
Well, so
I know. It's not. That's not true.
No, it's not that it's not true. It's that.
Well, it is not true.
It's that the customer always being right is a thing that we're supposed to say to ourselves and to our staff. Like that's an internal decision. Not when customers start showing up saying customers are only right, then now we've jumped the shark, right?
Right.
So point is, like, I had a customer call me and she was like, she was mad that this fish dish was spicy. She's like, it doesn't say spicy. And I was like, well, it lists 3 ingredients and one is Fresno chilies. And she was like, well, I didn't know Fresno chilies were spicy. Now, am I going to argue with her about Fresno chilies, or am I going to refund her, right? So, like, instead I just said, good point. Going forward, I will put the word spicy in there. I appreciate your feedback. Have a great night. She called back. She's like, I thought about it and I really want my money back.
Oh, God.
Now, this is when we didn't know. There was no PPP. We didn't know if we'll survive, right? I was frustrated, but I was nice, and I said, okay, like, if that's what it is, then that's what it is, and I refunded it, right? So now I think we're to a point now where, like, there's not a lot of sympathy for our industry. If you have a bad meal, you're going to write a review like you would have anyway. You're not going to go out of your way. You're going to buy takeout when you want something, but you're not going to go out of your way to keep places afloat. And listen, that is what it is, man. Like, no one owes me anything. No one, and you've known me a long time. Like, I don't do this because I think someone owes me something. Like,
right.
I do this because I'm a hustler and I'm going to go get it myself. And that is what it is. But that doesn't mean that, like, I don't have days sometimes where I'm like, damn it, like, everyone around me's eating. Pun unintended, but everyone around me is okay, like, financially. They're getting paid by me. All my vendors, all my staff, my insurance. Dude, you should see the insurance bills. Like, they're still taking full insurance. Like they're insuring something that's worth something.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. The town of Sharon just waived their liquor license fees, but, like, they weren't gonna at first, and it was like, dude, like, what are we paying for? Like, I can't sit a dining room full of people.
Right.
The state wants tax money. The electric companies want their money. Everybody wants their money, and it's funny because, like, it's just like I even have a vehicle that, like, they didn't take payments for a few months, and they just started calling, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, if you didn't think in May we were all right, what makes you think 10 months later we're all right?
Right.
But, like, whatever, you just pay them. Like, what am I gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on this thing I built. So, like, I'm not gonna tell you, nah, just take the van. No, I need the van. It's mine. I paid for it. And I'm gonna pay you. Like, it just is what it is. But some days that piles up, and some days you go, like, you know what? Some days, someone like me, like, I'm not virtue signaling. I'm not begging people to feel for me. I don't advertise, like, out there, like, what my staff makes or that I take care of. Like, all that's internal, but every once in a while when someone's coming at you, it's like, dude, like, we're not equals. Like, we're just not. Like, you're on a payroll somewhere and you're cool and you're whole and I'm hurting and we're not equals. I mean, I love my wife to death, but, like, yesterday my wife was frustrated and she was like, she used the word pressure. She was like, it's just that teaching remotely puts a lot of pressure on me. And I supported her, and I waited a full 24 hours. I did. I said, yo, listen, I feel for you. And then today I said, like, look, can we just talk about the word pressure? Yeah. I love you, babe, but your job, we all go to work to provide for our family. And your job, whether you do it well or not, is going to pay you, and they're going to give us health insurance. Right. You don't have pressure. You have stresses. Yeah. You have headaches. You have nuanced stuff you got to take care of. But I got pressure. Like, right. Pressure is like, the landlord's showing up on the first of the month no matter what. Like, the state's not going to be like, hey, listen, it's a pandemic. You don't have to pay us anymore. My staff.
But they could easily do that.
Easily
they could do that. Like, that's my biggest problem in this whole thing. It's just the bureaucracy about, like, I mean, whatever. Massachusetts is one thing, but all these other states too. Like L.A. banning outdoor dining. Like, you cannot show me
Scummy.
any evidence that says that's causing the pandemic.
Right. Listen, Listen,
It's just bullshit.
listen.
It's a
At the
power
end of the
trip.
day, if they truly gave a shit at all about saving restaurants, okay, I mean, not only would states be finding ways to financially help out restaurants, but also there are a lot of things that they could have done not even financially. And we talked about it on one of the episodes here, was like there are restaurants that are at capacity, with this much lowered capacity. They could have extended hours instead of shrinking them.
Yeah, right.
Telling bars, like I see, I don't know if he's still watching, but I see Mike Moxley's comment there. Like Mike Moxley owns a bar called Canary Square in JP. And like his place was humming. It was humming. And then COVID happens. And so like that's not like it's not like he was hanging on but and COVID is an excuse. No, like that was humming and he was doing his thing. And then COVID comes and like regulations straight up close them, right? Like straight up close them. And then by the time like the summer like it comes, it's like cool, he's able to try to get ahead, try. It's not the same, right? Because he was humming. And so like that takes something down, but then comes the fall and they shrink the hours. Why? Why can't someone drink at his bar till 1:30 if they're distanced? Right? Like, because at the end of the day, like...
Because they don't trust you. They think, you're going to get close to somebody, and you're going to breathe on them, and they're going to get COVID.
Sure, and my only point is, like...
No, but that's not...
No, I know. And my point is, I've believed for a long time in a happy medium here. Like, I do believe that there are things that we could be doing. Like, there are things we should be doing. Mask wearing.
Which everybody's doing.
Which, by the way, for anybody watching this, like, we are intentionally sitting in an area of the restaurant. No one's coming within 6 feet of us. We don't do indoor dining here, but we legally would be allowed to. I'm drinking my Sprite here. Corey and I are within a bubble of people that we do see distanced, again, like we are at this moment. So anyway, the point is, I do believe that,
all gets wiped down.
Right, all gets wiped down. I do believe that, like, that distancing's important, that mask wearing is important. I do believe that...
Distancing, mask wearing, any place that has a mask mandate, which compliance is through the...
All right, I don't want to talk about mandates.
No, I'm just saying...
No, it's just you get a little
I'm not getting anything. I'm just saying, like, everybody is wearing masks, so I just can't stand when people say, mask up people, blah, blah, you could stop the spread, blah. It's like, no, everybody everywhere is wearing masks.
So, Corey, that's just not true. And
what do you mean that's not true?
All right, so Isaiah works...
Mask compliance is like 97% or something.
In Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, California, New York.
Those three places, yeah. Not in Mississippi.
Mississippi isn't having a problem, though.
Yeah, it is. Look up those numbers. It's rural. It's more rural. But if you look at it, their rate of transmission is through the friggin' roof.
Okay, but
what about in Iowa?
I'm saying
highest positivity rate in the country, I think, and like there's not a mask in sight.
What about Santa Clara County? They've had the toughest restrictions since Jump Street, and they're it's spiking everywhere.
Okay, agreed, but it is. Again, these are the things I don't want to like. To you, it's political, and to me, it's not. Like,
I'm not saying it's no. I don't think it's political. I'm just saying everybody's wearing masks.
So do me a favor.
Everybody's wearing masks.
So do me a favor. The entire rest of this, don't talk to me about regulation. Like I don't care.
I'm not talking about mask regulation. I'm saying everybody's wearing masks, and we're still having a problem. I'm not saying we shouldn't wear masks.
And my point to you is the places in this country that unequivocally are having the worst. And don't get me wrong, like these redneck areas, man, they're super rural, and so like they're further away from each other. They have less people getting sick, but their rates of transmission are through the friggin' roof. And if you anecdotally look at who's like, so Isaiah goes down to Memphis for work once a month, and he drives down there by himself, and he's the only person in the whole warehouse wearing a mask.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And he's like, when he goes to a restaurant, like just to pick up at the counter, they look at him like he's the weirdo. And if you look at the stats in Memphis, they make like if Massachusetts had any of their stats, we'd all be gone. Like we're densely populated, and they're not. That's the only difference.
Yeah, we definitely have way worse.
No, we don't. We just don't.
Yes, we do. If you look at the data, you have to look at the data, scientists.
And Ari points out that people aren't wearing masks when they're with Thanksgiving. That's true. Like, look, anecdotally.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but Corey, the truth is, like, anecdotally, like I've seen people and been in places like where people aren't being good about masks. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
In Massachusetts?
Yes.
Wait, you've been into a grocery store with somebody without a mask?
No, not public places.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but the point is that like a lot of these things that you're talking about with these rates of transmission, they come from places where people are being lax. Like there are people, and by the way, I've withdrawn from these things. Like no disrespect to any of my friends or anything like that, but like I've been invited to places and been uncomfortable because I'm like, hold on, like there's a literal stranger here because some girl started dating some guy.
Yeah.
And like we're sitting here and I'm like, yo, like it's occurring to me how many people this person I'm sitting there with must see. And I'm like, I'm out of here. But I see things like even around Halloween time and stuff, I see people in like my social circle, not in my bubble, not people I'm hanging with, socially out with people.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that stuff, man. You know, you're not on Facebook, but so you don't see your friends from home. But like, bro, they all post pictures and they're like out to dinner with like another couple, and like that's just
It's America, baby.
sure. No. So this is what I'm saying. This is why you sound dumb, like really dumb.
How's
Is
that
that
sound dumb?
because it's America, baby? Just to be clear, can I translate that for you?
Freedom.
They have the freedom to do that. No one's disagreeing with that.
Okay.
But
no one's asking you to see them.
But no. Agreed. But just to be clear, don't then say, oh, everyone's being safe. Oh, these numbers are going up despite safe.
Oh, God,
no, that's unsafe behavior. And what state in the country has the highest rate?
Is it actually
what,
unsafe?
What state in the country is the most unsafe right now? The highest rate? I'll give you a clue. You're from it, and those people are.
Oh, yeah.
My point is like, look, the average IQ of the state of Rhode Island is like what?
But listen,
I'm just busting Corey's balls. He's from Rhode Island.
Like, truthfully, if you're young, if you don't have 3 comorbidities, you're not at much risk, right?
So it depends on how you look at it.
No,
It depends on how you look at
it.
it.
Doesn't depend on how you look at it.
It
It
does.
depends if you look at the data.
Except that there's random. Look, I don't want to go back to March and sit here and argue with you about whether or not getting COVID is bad or not. My point to you is when you sit here and act like these mandates aren't important for masks, honestly, you're the reason restaurants are closed.
I didn't say that. I'm saying everybody's wearing masks, right? I have no problem. I put my mask on every time I go somewhere. I don't have a problem. Nobody has a problem. Everybody's wearing masks. And
Sure.
In Rhode Island, everybody's wearing masks too.
So I've seen these photos of people, sitting
Yes.
out to dinner with another couple.
Yes.
No one's wearing a mask in the picture.
Yeah, when you're out to dinner, what are you going to put a mask on and eat, then put a mask on and eat?
No, probably not. But then maybe you shouldn't be at dinner.
But
together.
they're not worried about it. So why should they not go out to dinner if you're worried about it?
So my point to you,
You know, you want to keep restaurants alive. Well, how are we going to keep them alive if you don't go to them?
no. So how do you keep them alive? You behave safely so that the numbers aren't crazy, so that the state doesn't keep shutting us down.
No.
Let me ask you a question.
You're
Do
not-
you think people should be able to drive as fast as they want the wrong way down the highway? Why, dude? It's their car. They should be able to do whatever they want to do.
So you're going to compare this to going the wrong way down the highway when no one's asking you to put yourself at risk, right? No one. You're saying we should keep restaurants open, but if people go to them, how are they supposed to do it?
So again, I think the point that I'm trying to make is and again, like by the way, it's illustrative of your viewpoint when instead of saying, well, how do you know that those 4 people aren't in the same bubble? Instead, you're like, they don't care. Those people don't care.
No,
they
don't
don't
care.
care. That's
What
the
it-
point.
what does it
They
mean,
don't
don't
care.
care. What if they care about the restaurant? What if they care about keeping that restaurant alive?
No, that's great. Then 2 of them should be there, and then the other 2 should be there. But the 4 of them
Well,
don't
we
have to be
can't
there
because they're
together.
going to close at 9:30.
But the 4 of them don't have, no, you're changing subjects now. The
That's
4 of
not
them don't
true.
have to be there together. And my point is,
But they're
it's
not
people
afraid.
behaving.
They're not afraid.
And that is what is closing restaurants.
That's what's
Because
going
their
on.
lack of fear is no a virus.
But they're at no.
Unequivocally, it's spreading a virus. And when it keeps spreading, we get closed.
Yeah, but listen, they're at 0 risk, right? Basically 0 risk. Yeah, let's say 0.05% risk. They're not at much risk at all
Of getting it or dying.
of having complications from it.
Okay, but if they get it, can they then spread it to other people?
No, because then they'll be in their house.
No, they don't know that they have it while they're still contagious.
So-
And they were in a restaurant
okay.
with another couple.
Okay, but they just said with the vaccine happened, right? They said after you get the vaccine, you're still going to have to do this because you could still spread it. Mm-hmm. Did you read this?
I did.
So what's the freaking point then? If we could still spread it then, and no one can go out then no one can go out ever because you might be able to spread it. Which it still hasn't even been proven or whatever. Fauci said in February that no pandemic in history has ever been spread from asymptomatic people, okay? So there has to be something that backs this up that says, you know what, everybody can spread it, no matter if you have it or not, you don't know if you have it. First of all, we haven't even gotten into the testing. You don't even want to do it because there's too much that says you're wrong about this, okay? But people, if there are 4 people going out to dinner, no one is asking you to hang out with them, right? But you shouldn't.
But what if you hang out with them?
If I hang out with them, I hang out with them.
But do you tell me that when you show up here?
Yes.
You do?
Yep.
All right, cool.
I'll tell you.
'Cause
well,
my
you're
point
the
is
one
that's-
that's told me you're just hanging out with people you don't even know.
No, I'm not. I said I'm not because I go to something that I think that like we're going to be super distanced
there
and
are
we're
other
going to do our
people
own thing. And there's other people, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I'm out.
Okay. but I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know where all your people go. I mean,
That's a great point, and that's the thing about like, so there's a lot of protocols in here that are in place because of that kind of stuff.
of course. But all I'm saying is,
Because I
you can't
learned
just
that I can't regulate. I can try, and I have regulation. I have rules in place, but you're right. Like I can't stop somebody from seeing somebody, and so instead, it's just. I mean, look, those people are always masked up. They're in distance from each other. You know, there's just a lot of rules
But I
in
think
place.
it's been proven, right, that it's not like the federal government's going to come to the rescue and be like, "Hey, you've been out of work for 8 months, but here you go," right? Like, I read it was in the Globe or whatever. It said 44% of Massachusetts small business closing.
I think that's
44%.
Yep.
Okay, so what? Just keep them closed down because you might spread it, even though you don't know if you have it or not.
And I just think that if people could behave with some freedoms.
What is some freedoms though?
So my point is, like, if a couple would go out to dinner at that restaurant instead of going with another couple, then we'd be better off. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree.
I know you disagree.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, you can't just say everybody can only see you and your wife, and you just stay in your house. If you go somewhere, just go together, don't see anybody else, and then everybody just does that. And by the way, the restaurant has to close at 9:30, so you can only stay for 90 minutes.
No, but I think that if people would be better at their decision making and didn't need to be policed as much, then I think that they could relax a little bit of their regulations on us.
How can you relax?
No, because if you saw those numbers come down, I think we'd have a better argument. It's hard for us to argue with the state.
The numbers came down
when
in the
are coming
summer.
up high. And we were super lax in the summer. We were allowed to be open late. We were allowed to be outdoor dining. Like the state was pretty lax in the summer, and actually and indoor dining was allowed.
All right,
And late.
and then fall came, right?
Yeah.
So, what people got more lax? That's why the virus is coming.
That's what it seems like. I don't know.
No, it's a seasonal virus. That's why.
Okay.
I see Ari saying, "Oh, there's stadiums in Australia. Australia's in their summer right now, so of course they're going to have it easy, right? It's not respiratory virus season in Australia right now."
I mean, we didn't have it. In fact, you argued that we didn't have it easy this summer. You argued that on this podcast.
No, I argued that it's a seasonal virus. We had it in March. Summer went down. Now fall comes, it's back up. That's my theory. Of course, it's unproven, right? But it's
Anyway,
just like,
what do you think about Giannis's contract?
nah, nobody wants to talk about the NBA.
No, nobody does. But
Jason Tatum's son. No, Giannis is good. Jason Tatum's good. Nobody cares about that. The Patriots aren't going to make the playoffs. I think we should have full stadiums.
hold on
here.
one second. You bringing that out? Thank you.
I think we should allow full stadiums in America. We'll get to herd immunity.
Dude, I don't know. I don't want to. That's so dumb to me.
What? It's the same thing as the vaccine.
I mean, yeah, except that some people will die from it, and I don't know that people won't die from the vaccine. I don't know that yet. That was hurried. By the way, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into the vaccine, but it is funny if you read any of the stuff that got put out about the vaccine. It's like basically like, hey, we had like 7 deaths from this, and we had like 8 deaths from this, and we don't think that's a big deal, but we're not sure.
Well,
and it's like that's a little weird.
I mean, it's another
That's a
one of
little
these
weird.
things where it's like people say science, 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 but there was I think it was the Pfizer one. There wasn't in the placebo group. There wasn't one death from COVID in the placebo group. Okay, so it's like, what are we doing? There's
didn't see that.
no mortality benefit. Like they just haven't shown us the data. It's like,
I saw that like one of them was, I don't know if you saw this, but like there were like 5 heart attack deaths in the non-placebo group, and I'm like, and then they were like, we don't believe it's such a small number, we don't believe it's related, and I'm like, I don't know, like, in fairness, and I pride myself on going down the middle. In fairness, if we think that COVID is the mitigating factor of like rando deaths of weird complications, why are you just dismissing automatically that 5 people that you stuck an unproven vaccine into died of a heart attack? I mean, I'm sorry, but if my loved one had participated in this trial and during the trial died of a heart attack, I'd have a hard time with you telling me like we know that we don't think that has anything to do with it. How do you know?
First of all,
like that's a weird thing to say, man. That's a weird thing to say.
There's no long-term safety data. First of all, second of all, I saw.
Well, the other part that's really confusing to me, and I'm not an anti-vaccine person, so like I'm not. I'll get the vaccine.
I hate when they act like it's like a tuberculosis vaccine.
I agree.
It's like completely different.
No,
you know
I
what
agree.
I mean? Like,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It is.
Plus, we've never
different.
used this technology.
Agreed.
On 2 of those.
It is different, and it's especially different because what's really weird is if you read, like, I don't know how many people are actually going to read like all the fine print in that study, but I read a lot of it, and it's like they straight up say like we're saying it's 95% effective, but we're not sure for how long.
Yeah, or if you can get infected.
Or if you can get it again.
Or if you could spread it.
And then like at one point they were arguing that like the vaccine will make it so like if you do get it, it's not as dangerous. I'm like, these seem like a lot of conjecture.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, I'm with you. Like, right, we act like it's like the flu vaccine or like tuberculosis, like it's been around. The reality is that like I can foresee, and I'm gonna take crap for this, but like I could foresee rationally, I could foresee a situation in 3, 4, 5 years from now. Class action lawsuits, people that died.
Well,
people,
this has happened
bad
before,
stuff.
right?
I don't know that.
All right.
I didn't know that.
So swine flu, remember swine flu? Which
I
of
do
course,
remember it.
No, I don't remember it. Nobody remembers it.
I remember it.
Okay, but
I know someone that got it.
And you know about the PCR tests? Do you know about this?
No.
So all right, the way they're testing for this virus,
Okay.
same way they did for the swine flu, they didn't do it for the vaccine. Vaccine you actually had to have COVID, but PCR test basically it amplifies.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah,
they
I know
can
what this
study
is.
it, right?
Yeah.
So all the scientists say if you amplify it more than 30 times
Yeah,
or
that
whatever,
it's not valid.
it's
yeah,
right.
not
It's
that
just you can have a million false positive either way.
Mm-hmm.
2009 swine flu. In England, they hurry up with the vaccine. They give it to the healthcare workers,
Okay.
right? And all of them with the PCR test, right? Which you literally cannot tell if you have the virus or not.
Right.
You might have trace amount of something, nothing clinically. They give the vaccine to them. They all start developing narcolepsy. Bell's palsy, I think, was another one.
Okay.
Like
Bell's palsy was
irreversible.
one of the higher side effects of this.
These are,
Bell's palsy is reversible, but
yeah.
or
you're right,
it's
I'm
self-reverse.
kidding.
Like it reverses.
Narcolepsy.
My
doesn't.
dad had. That's probably true. I don't. Yeah.
But it's like, all right, you did rush a vaccine and like, oh, I'm going to protect you. Like,
Listen, at the end of the day, you know that I hate hypocrisy and like backward stuff. So I will say this: like, if the population that we needed to protect the most from COVID is the older population,
Yes.
it's weird that they're the first ones getting the vaccine. It should be the opposite then.
no.
Because
it might be, it's worth the risk for them though.
That's a fair point, especially because if we're being really
Okay,
cold about it,
86,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
that like if so honestly, like, look, you know, I'm a hypochondriac. Like this stuff scares me. For the good of humanity, I would do it. I would do it if they said like, look, someone's got to do. All right, whatever. But in general, like honestly, it's kind of like in our group, we're gonna get to see like a lot of other people go through it first. But it's also weird because like we're gonna put people through it who like supposedly are the people that like we owe the most to. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
like
like healthcare workers and stuff, I know.
healthcare workers had to take
That's-
all this shit from them, and now they're gonna be our guinea pigs.
That's
crazy.
that's
to me.
exactly what happened
That's
in
crazy
England
to me
and-
that like
and the UK in
that we're gonna
2009.
take like nurses that have been like putting their own lives at risk for the last 10, 11 months for us, and then we're gonna be like, hey, we'd also love you to be the guinea pigs
Right.
at large of being stuck with this stuff, and then being. And the thing is, I agree with you. Like, it is kind of weird that we're acting like, look, if you are anti-tuberculosis or anti-MMR, you and I, we depart to some.
Like anti-vaxxers, when it comes to that, are fucking idiots.
So I want to be sensitive to the fact that, to be honest with you, like, I do think that, like, when it comes to your children, it's hard to judge how other people feel. So, like, for me, I get my kids vaccinated, and I don't want my
Yeah.
kids around people who aren't vaccinated,
Right.
period. But I'm not going to say to a parent who has real deep emotional feelings that that's dangerous for their kid, that they don't have the right to those feelings. And that doesn't mean I don't think anti-vaxxers, like, yeah, look, in a vacuum, I'm like, that's nutty to me. But I also have always prided myself on being someone who is open to the idea that he's going to find out he's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, I can't say with 100% certainty. I can say with 99.999. I just can't say with 100% certainty that 30 years from now, we won't be looking back and going, holy shit, we thought those people were the weirdos. Like, because weird stuff does come out. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. But let's just keep it real.
Well, it depends on the disease,
I'll tell you what's making me look at the anti-vaxxers a little bit different these days. Not with them, okay? This stuff, because like we just watch something get approved, like whoa, and then they're just like telling us like you're stupid if you don't do this, and then I read the actual fine print, and they're straight up like, we don't know that this works,
Right.
and we don't know that it won't kill you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, time out a second.
Yeah, one of them is like 1 out of 5 people had grade 3 or grade 4 adverse reactions.
Right. Do you know how many pregnant women they tested?
Yeah. No, they can't. They didn't test on pregnant
0.
women. Yeah.
And they're willing to give it to pregnant women. So time out.
I thought they weren't giving it.
No,
to
they
them.
are. I just
Oh.
read something that a friend of mine who I grew up with, she like put out like because she works with like, her study. She's a doctor, and her study, I think her like thesis or whatever was whatever it is. Her background is in I'm blanking on the word, but like neonatal or whatever. Infectious disease. So she's like legitimately seeing COVID patients who are pregnant, and she put this thing out like there was an information sheet about how like you should make your own decision about the pregnancy stuff, and it wasn't like she was super even-handed about it, like not telling you have to, but also like giving you honest information. But I was reading it and I'm like, yo, if Adrian was pregnant right now, I'd be like, all right, let's close all the restaurants. Let's sit at home and watch Netflix until the baby's here,
right.
And then we'll get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like, yeah, let's take that risk. Because I'm reading something, I'm like, time out. You have given it to 0 pregnant people. You're not going to get past a test with nothing for me and then be like, okay, cool, I'll stick it to me now.
Right.
Hell no. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, bro, have you ever like,
you know what's safe for pregnant women?
What?
Hydroxychloroquine.
I don't want to talk about it, but like, I was going to talk about Rogaine.
But that's what we actually need to do, though.
So like Rogaine, right? Like, I bought some
actually,
Rogaine.
ivermectin.
I bought Rogaine like, I guess Adley 7, so like 8 years ago, right? And I was like, I just read the package, and it said like this should not be around pregnant women, like blah 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 blah, and it was so scary that I was like, I just threw it in the garbage, and I was like, maybe after I have kids, and then I straight up was like, nah, I'm not touching this stuff because like, thank you.
Yeah, is it worth it or not worth it?
Because I was just like, I don't know, that just scared me, and the thing is, like, I'm certainly not sticking something in my arm from a pregnant woman that's never been tested on, huh?
Plus, you have hair.
But yeah, but like right here is thinner. And you know what's funny? It was like this. Like, I mean, it's happening slowly, very slowly.
I was gonna say you have hair.
Dude, I see photos and like sometimes like it's it's just one of those things, man. It's one of those things. We all have insecurities.
Yeah, not you.
Oh, hold on. We got another. I can't read. I gotta read what this person said. Just because I want to see.
During the trial.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
Not
Hold on a second. All right. Well, I'm literally, Danielle, going off of, so sorry, Danielle typed in here. There were women that did get pregnant during the trial, so that's not entirely accurate. I'm only going off of, Danielle, what so I read some literature this morning put out by a doctor who I respect, and it said that they had tested 0 pregnant women. So I'm not saying, if it's not accurate, it's not accurate. I believe you. I'm not making the stuff up. I'm going off of just like what it said. And, again,
no, I read that too because I mean, truthfully, they shouldn't test on pregnant women, right? Like,
no, they
like,
shouldn't.
Why would you?
No. Listen,
We're
agree.
basically going to be doing phase 3 trials on the general public. Right?
That's kind of what it feels like.
And
so again, to be clear, I just want to be clear. Like, I will get the vaccine. Like, I don't want there to be any. I don't want someone thinking like, I think he's anti-vaccine here.
I think you're better off getting the.
So did they, Danielle? So did
one.
they continue to test on the women after they were pregnant? I guess is what I would ask. Because I do agree, like, it would be immoral in my mind to test stuff on pregnant women. Like,
I mean,
yeah, of course.
Listen, we can't even talk about morality because when it comes to COVID, there's so much immoral in the world that it's stupid.
Sure, but I mean, there's a lot of immoral in the world anyway, Corey. Like,
No, I'm talking about from like respected scientists and whatever, like literally not doing what they're trained to do. Doing the opposite of what they're trained to do.
I don't know, man. We're in a weird place, and I don't want to dive into. Actually, it'd be cool if we like almost go like the whole podcast without talking about like the presidential situation. But the reality is,
what is there to talk about the presidential?
We're just in a weird place in American history where like people have opinions on things they're so unqualified to have opinions on, and so I don't know. I'm unqualified to have an opinion on scientists and what they're saying.
Well,
like I'm unqualified.
All right, I'll
man.
give you a homework assignment. Just read about PCR tests, okay?
No, I know. I do. I'm aware.
I mean, that's like the whole basis for locking everything down, blah blah, and it's not.
Hey, so are you?
Listen, I heard a story today.
Have
Just
you been
listen.
spending some time on Parler?
I heard a story today.
Yeah.
Lady in New York City.
Yep.
At school, they randomly test kids.
Sure.
Her kid tested positive, so she's like, "Shit." Goes and gets her whole family tested. All of them come back negative. Even the kid who tested positive at school.
Sure.
Got another test for the kid that was positive at school. Negative again. So she goes to school and says, "Hey, like we checked this, They're like, no, they closed down her classroom, her kid's class, and like, whatever classes he's in, I guess.
Yep.
But she's like, literally can prove that he doesn't have it and he never did have it.
Right.
So, but it's like, well, they did this test and it said he had a trace amount or whatever, but they count that as a positive. So now, the lives of 40 kids are now they're in remote and whatever. But it's a false premise. You know what I mean? Like you're closing it down for no reason.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, listen, the testing's not perfect. It's weird. All right, so what about Giannis's contract? What do you think? Oh, let's talk about the Pats, dude. What did you think about the Pats this past week?
Well, now that they're basically eliminated, I like to see Stidham.
Would you like to see Stidham?
Now I don't think he's actually good anymore. Coming in the year I thought he was going to be good. I don't really know if he's good now. I was all about Cam until the Ravens won last night, because I think Belichick thinks Cam gives him the best chance to win, and he might be right, he might be wrong, but now that they're out of it, I mean, I guess we can watch Cam a little longer, but.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me,
I think it's more about Josh McDaniels.
I hate him.
I'm coming
He's
back.
trash,
I'm
man.
coming back on your side.
You know how I am on that, dude. He's trash, dude. He's trash. Like it's just like the play calling is so.
When you're on the
bad.
goal line, you need a fullback if you're going to run up the middle.
Agreed, but also like.
Or play action.
But also, so like, look, Cam can throw the football. He can, and I'm not saying
He can throw it deep. He can't throw it short.
Agreed. Okay, well,
medium is like his comfort zone.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
like 15 yards.
Agreed. But so like it's kind of weird,
Check
right?
downs, he's brutal.
Brutal. So listen. First of all, okay, let's say one thing about Cam, right? I just want to say one thing about Cam here. So it's kind of weird, right? Like Tom Brady left, and like, look, I still love Tom Brady as a player, okay? But everyone in America hated Tom Brady, right? He's a douchebag, he's all
think
this.
they still do.
And we like sort of defend him because we loved him, right? Like we idolized the dude. And then it's like it's easier now that he's this far away to see like, oh yeah, that dude's a douchebag. Like that PPP stuff, he bought a friggin' yacht. Well, his company got $1 million in PPP. Like that's garbage, bro. Like he could have funded that. That's garbage. It's just garbage. And you know, he's boys with people like Antonio Brown, Floyd Mayweather, that are garbage human beings. It says a lot about his character. And ultimately, like, Cam Newton, what I love about Cam Newton, right? Did you hear his interview a couple days ago on EI?
No.
Okay, so Wiggins asked him a question, right? And Wiggins, I like Wiggins on the radio. I just think he's great. Wiggins asked him straight up, like, can we talk about the play calling by Josh McDaniels as a player sometimes?
I read the quote.
Okay,
he went on for like half hour, right?
5 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes, 5 full minutes. But
like defending Josh.
not just defending him, though. It wasn't player speak. It was man talk. He goes, let me be very clear right now, very clear. You are not going to drive a wedge between me and Josh McDaniels. And he's like, I'm first and foremost grateful for this opportunity. And that starts with Coach Belichick and Josh McDaniels and Robert Kraft. And he said, like, as players, sometimes you feel like you bail your coach out. But to be clear, Josh McDaniels bails this whole team out sometimes. And he said, that's a man that's so passionate and so smart about his philosophies. I'm never going to question his philosophies. And it was legit. Like, it wasn't. So what Tom Brady does, and he's doing it with Bruce Arians, is he gets cute. You know what I mean? He did it for the last year and a half here. He does the whole, like, listen, Josh and I are fine. He's like, sometimes coaches and players get in arguments. And, like, you know, he leaves it open, you know? And Cam, man, he takes responsibility. Like, Cam doesn't say, listen, as the leader of the team, I'll accept responsibility. He says, I sucked.
Yeah.
I sucked. So what I like about Cam is Cam's been pretty honest. I don't know, did you hear what he said about his practice habits this year?
No.
So he goes, my practice habits have never been as good in my career as they are this year. He's like, being here, like, we practice better than anywhere I've ever practiced. I practice better. I practice harder. It's frustrating when not getting the results, but it takes time. And the thing about Cam is...
Yeah, well, you don't have time, buddy.
And I know he won't have time, but the problem is, what I'm trying to say is, a year ago, we watched undisputably, the greatest quarterback of all time, have more talent than we have now. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. And not be that good. The team was great. The team was great. They had better defense. They had a better defense.
Yeah.
But we watched him struggle as a quarterback in an offense that he was super familiar with, just because, you know, he didn't have enough talent. And now we put Cam into that position with no time at all during the offseason, less talent around him.
Yeah.
And we're shocked we're so hard on the dude for sucking. The reality is that it probably would have taken Cam half of a season if he had a training camp to be any good at all. And this year he got no training camp, then he got sick and like...
Yeah, but the problem is that what we're watching, right, it's regression, right? I mean, they put up like 30-something in Seattle, which Seattle's defense isn't great. But,
Sure.
right, you're like, Cam's back to pass, and then he's running out of the pocket,
Right.
and it's like, you know, that's what we want.
Well, so what
right?
I think is
but
happening
then you
there...
put up three, you're in December 15th, and you put up 3 points.
But so what I think happens there a little, and this is why, like, I respect the fact that Cam, as a professional, won't criticize the team. But I think what you're seeing happen is there's a balance. They are almost a victim of their own mediocre success, in the sense like, because at 6-6 they're in the playoff race.
Yeah.
They're game planning to win the game,
Right.
not to progress.
Yeah.
And so, you're seeing Cam suck in a game where he throws the ball 15, 18 times, and then be great in a game that he throws 18 times, and then throw 7. The truth is, we're watching regression because I get why Josh McDaniels runs the ball 4 times because he's thinking like, we don't have a play that I trust right now.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you don't let him throw when he's down in the goal line, you'll never have a quarterback on this team that you feel comfortable throwing.
Yeah, there's been too many 3rd and 12s where they just ran it for no reason.
Agreed.
And the other thing is, I mean, like, they take 38 seconds off the play clock every time. They go so slow the entire time. And then you get to, like, 3rd and 5, you don't convert, and now you're punting. It's like you don't have any – you shorten the game, but that's good for teams
another big
with bad
problem,
offense.
And another big problem that, I don't like Josh McDaniels for is I don't care if Cam can't – so I've started out to say is Cam can throw the football. My point was he can throw the football. He's not a great passer, and he's not reading the defense yet.
Well, and his pocket presence is
terrible.
Something
terrible.
to be
terrible.
Something to be
terrible. But the reality is that if you'd let the guy throw 3 out of every 8 plays, your running plays would be better. At the beginning of the season, we were running on all over teams.
The play action should be like the most banging thing.
Agreed, but you know what else should be? It should also be like when Cam's got a spread offense, that's when he's effective running the ball.
Like, did they even bootleg? I can't even remember a time.
No.
Like, they were on the goal line, and they didn't, you didn't run one bootleg. You didn't run one play action. You didn't do, you ran up the middle with Cam without a fullback.
I can think of at least 3 important plays at the goal line this season where the play was Cam in shotgun, take the snap, and run forward into the line.
Yeah.
That's not a play.
Right.
That's, oh, shit, there's no time on the play clock. We didn't get the play in.
Yeah.
Hike. Like, that's not a play.
No.
That's not a play.
No, it worked like the first 2 times in Seattle. So it's like, let's go to that play the rest of the season. Every single time.
So bad.
No, I know. It's
so bad. What do you think about the Celtics?
Hold on, but regardless of what they do in the offseason, I mean, they're going to be better next year. They just will.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
of course. And I know.
Like, it's actually amazing to
I
me
know
that
I'm
they're,
alone
like,
here, but I want to see Cam back. I do. I just want to see some.
Well, it depends. It depends on what your options are, right?
Sure.
You know, like, right now, he is probably the best option next year.
By the way, they could have had Phillip Rivers.
I don't think that even does it, though.
I mean, no, listen, they have no receivers.
Like, when in December and it's windy out, I don't think his arm's good enough.
Receivers. They have no receivers. By the way, Josh Allen, motherfucker. Like,
Josh Allen
looks
got
legit,
a hose.
bro. He looks legit.
Oh, no.
He just looks legit. It's
talk about nailing that pick.
So
this
frustrating.
was social media.
So frustrating.
Social media, like some of these guys, you come out of Wyoming and you get the Barstool crowd behind you, and then you go to Buffalo. And by the way, like, he's an excellent coach. Like, that team's
Buffalo just looks really good. Like legit. Like legit.
They're going to be forced to be reckoned
and it's
with
weird.
for years.
It's weird too because like obviously I'm a Patriots fan through and through, and so like whatever. And like I got family in Buffalo, and then now that
you're going to root for Buffalo in the playoffs.
Well, now that like Brittany, like now that like she's engaged and like her soon-to-be husband, like all his boys, like they're diehards. Like he loves the Bills
like,
way more than we love the Patriots.
Socially distant, jumping through tables and shit.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And because of all that, like I kind of like root against, like want to bust their butt. It's like a friendly rivalry thing. But still, like I'm watching the game. Like first of all, I hate Pittsburgh so much.
Yeah, I know.
But, like I'm watching the game and like I want Buffalo to lose, like rationally. And I just find myself when the ball's hiked, I find myself rooting for them. Like they're fun to watch. Like they're tough, man. Yo, Diggs is better than I thought he was. Like in Minnesota, you just never saw him, Yeah, and you saw the numbers, and you were like, he can't be that good, dude. He's he's taller than I thought he was. He's athletic as hell.
Yeah, he's good.
Like I can't believe we didn't trade for him. We almost did a couple times, dude. That would have been a weapon. That would have been a weapon.
He's a little bit he looks like a little bit of a psycho the way he like yelling at the coaches and shit all the time too. Though.
Dude, between the lines, man, that dude performs.
Oh, of course.
He just does. And what do you think about the Celtics?
What do you mean? It doesn't. I don't think they're gonna do exactly what they did last year.
No, I disagree. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna take a step. I think their 2 additions were the perfect 2 additions. I can't believe I thought they were perfect.
Wait, I don't even know who they got.
Thompson.
Oh, Tristan Thompson, that's right.
And I love.
Yeah, well, they did need a rebounder for sure.
And that so like they literally got a non-selfish, non-ego, doesn't need the ball rebounder who can finish at the rim.
Right.
So it's like he's a rim protector, he's a rebounder, and he's willing to finish the rim but doesn't need the ball. He's Enes Kanter who can defend and doesn't want to be posting up.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what this team needed. Was one guy on the court that doesn't need the ball.
Yeah.
And by the way, someone who could get some rebounds. And then I love. Why am I blanking on the kid's name? The backup point guard. They signed a.
Not a rookie.
No. They signed a super vet, like a vet. Like,
Oh, really?
What's his name? He was the starter in Atlanta for
Jeremy
a while.
Lin.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, Jeff Teague. He's
Jeff
dirty.
Teague. So first of all,
Jeff Teague is
Jeff Teague's a
very good.
legit starter.
Wake Forest, I think.
That sounds right. Jeff Teague is a legit starter.
No.
And what's so great about that
There's
is
so many point
it's
guards
such
in the NBA. It's
insurance
crazy.
against Kemba. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like Jeff Teague could be like a legit
Oh,
come
he
off
could
the
start
bench
for them.
6'6",
Oh, yeah.
or he could start when Kemba can't. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
right.
So it's like, and Kemba can play the 2. So like it's like you're almost insured now against Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Not both of them, but like if one's out for any amount of time and Kemba's healthy, Teague.
Right.
Kemba slides to the 2 and the other one slides to the 3.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like you got a squad. So like,
I like Jeff Teague.
yeah, I like.
And he got a shooter in the draft. So
Yep.
You want to get a shooter. You always get some shooter. Hey, freaking Duncan Robinson is, tearing it up for Miami. It's like you
Right.
just need somebody give him the ball and let him shoot.
Right.
You know?
No, I love that pick. And
Speaking of, I didn't even finish it. Oh, I did tell you, but all these old high school basketball games are on YouTube.
Yeah.
And like there's more like on like all the time.
Hmm.
Dude, it's crazy.
what about James Harden? We got to wrap this up in a second. But so James Harden wants to be moved.
To anywhere, right?
If you were the Celtics,
I thought John
would you
Wall
put a
just went to
package
Houston.
together? He did. And Harden was like, yeah, I don't care. By the way, Wall,
He's like, yo, I'm not working with a Crip.
By the way, Wall probably was the legit worst good player in the NBA to pair with Harden. Like, if there's any player to be the number 2, like, so I'll say this, like, Washington, right? Like, Washington got better because people sleep on Russ just because, like, but, like, Russ and Beal is a better pairing for Russ than he's ever had in his career because Beal really can straight up just score, and he's a good, like, KD never wanted to be a spot-up shooter. Beal's real comfortable catching and shooting.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a perfect pair. Like, I like that move. Washington's not going to be a contender because of it, but they got better, and they'll sell more tickets. Because the truth is, Westbrook's levels above Wall, too. And it's crazy that they're around the same age and make the same money. I was shocked when I looked that up. But
I mean, well, that's because they've both been in the league forever.
No, I know, but Wall can't shoot.
No, that's not true. I mean, he's not a great shooter, but you wouldn't just leave him open. It's not like he's Rondo, I'm saying.
So the thing about Wall is, it was interesting because this kid that works for me, we debate basketball a lot, and he said some things about Wall being like an equivalent 3-point shooter to Westbrook, which is not a compliment, but I looked it up. They're almost statistically identical.
Yeah, I was
almost
gonna say,
identical, including in volume, which is interesting to me. Because Wall, for his like first 3 or 4, he was Ben Simmons. You know, he went a whole season without taking a shot outside the paint.
Oh, is that right?
So Wall has gotten better. But my point is, he's not a good shooter. He's not a good defender.
Yeah.
And he's a ball dominant point guard.
Yeah.
How does that help you with Harden? Like, how? And so if
Harden's just.
So my point is,
no one can play with him. I don't think.
Well, the weird thing is that. So listen, I don't understand Houston because like. If I'm Houston, like, so the number 1 player that can play with him, like the guy best designed to play with him in the entire NBA was Robert Covington, and they moved him. But I'm like, yo, listen, Covington can shoot the hell out of the ball, is a rim protector, which is interesting for an athletically small guy. No, he's a rim protector. He
he's
averages
a good defender, yeah.
He averages like 2.8 blocks a game or something
All right,
crazy.
but he's not a rim protector.
They consider him a rim protector. No.
But he can guard a 3.
No,
he's not.
He played the 5 for them. That's how they played that small ball. Because he averaged like 2.5
but
blocks.
they don't care about defense, though.
No, but
my point,
right? But my point is, he was a legit rim protector for them. So all I'm trying to say is, you know what's funny? If they had kept Capella and had Covington, and like basically, James Harden should be surrounded by 4 athletic guys that can shoot and defend, and then James Harden's perfect because he can do everything. And if he has guys around him who like legit if the only player on the entire team that puts the ball on the floor for 1 dribble in the entire game is James Harden, you can win.
Yeah.
Like, so I agree. Like, so that's what makes it even.
God, I hate watching it.
It's what makes it even.
He's the worst to watch.
It's not fun watching. Yeah. In fact, it's crazy to have a player in the NBA.
I kind of want him to go to Brooklyn.
Dude, can you imagine? Him and Kyrie would hate each other so much. Like, so much. Did you see
Durant would be like, just give me the ball, please.
Yeah. Dude, it's amazing how egotistical those dudes are. What number is because Durant's 7 and Irving's 11. That explains it because like Irving yesterday had a quote after the game. He's like, listen, blah blah. He's like, it's just about watching 7-Eleven.
Oh, is that what he said?
And I'm just
I
like,
thought he wasn't talking to the media. He doesn't.
no, he did yesterday. He did finally.
jeez.
So and he explained himself, and he said
I
like,
thought he wanted to quit basketball.
and he said the
like-
most bizarre shit too. He was like, dude, he's a complete douche. Like he's just a bad dude. But anyway, so anyway, the point is like I'm just looking at like the Celtics, and I'm like, I don't want Harden, and I love our core,
Oh,
but
Danny would trade for Harden, and
he would.
He would give up. He would definitely give up Jaylen Brown. He wouldn't give up Tatum, but he would give up Jaylen Brown.
So imagine like a package of like Kemba.
I wouldn't do it.
Kemba
Though.
Smart
I wouldn't do it.
and
I'd
Jalen.
rather ride with Jalen and Tatum forever.
Same, 100%. 100%. And there was a great interview the other day with Jeff Teague.
You have him for the next 4 years.
And there was a great interview with Jeff Teague, and they were like, what's one thing that surprises you about those guys? And he's like, honestly, I didn't know how close friends they were.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. Apparently they're super close.
So when they drafted Tatum, I mean, they made sure they did everything together. You know what I mean? It was always them together, doing drill, doing whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this is our core going forward, right? And, you know.
And they gave a great, one of them gave a great quote. I think it was Jalen, that was like, we're opposites as basketball players, like what we do well, and that makes it work for us. Like, you know, one's more aggressive, the other one's more smooth. Like he was like, and he was saying that, and I'm like, kind of is true. Like, honestly, I just hope this year that Brad Stevens is just like, all right, listen, guys, there's a rule. Jaylen Brown has to get 15 shots.
Yeah.
Like if Jaylen Brown is only at 10 shots and there's 3 minutes left and the game's tied, he's the only one allowed to shoot because you just have to have a rule. Jaylen Brown gets 15 shots.
Right.
I don't care if we lose tonight.
Yeah.
We cannot have Jaylen Brown deferring to Marcus Smart anymore.
No.
It just doesn't work. Like, you know what I mean? And Marcus Smart will be better Marcus Smart should take 10 shots a game. Jaylen Brown should take at least 15, and Tatum should take 20. And if you have that, 10, 15, 20,
It's true.
you're going to be a really solid team.
Well, it's not like there's going to be a lot of, Kemba's going to score, obviously, and but everybody else is just role players. I mean, it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but they're not in position to win a championship.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, and Danny, I don't know, I know he gets just heat, but it's like, what do you want him to do? If you're not going to get a free agent to come, then it's like, he's done as well as he could in my mind. You know, you drafted Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You know, like, hey, I'll give you props for that. Like, those are two.
And I love the Kemba pick. I love Kemba. Like, if Kemba's healthy, like, I love his role. I love his fit on this team. So, all right, well, we got to wrap this up because I got to get to work.
All right. Allah Esh, episode 19, Heat in the Kitchen. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, man. Same to you.
Chinooka as the soul. I forget who said it, but you see this viral
No.
video? Oh, I never heard of this, but Happy Chinooka. It was like
Happy
some Motown artist or
Chinooka.
something, and
That's
it was on
hilarious.
Cameo.
All right,
It's
whatever.
hilarious.
All right, cool.
Peace out.
All right, peace.